At the Marriage Foundation, people write in and they want to know what they can do. Someone wrote in, my husband is always nitpicking. My name is Paul Friedman and I founded the Marriage Foundation, and I'd like to help you with this. I'm not going to argue with you. Let's say your husband is nitpicking. You perceive that. It's real. You're not crazy, and he probably is a nitpicker. So what do? Well, I'm not a Western psychologist, thank you God. They want to always solve a person's problem by telling you someone else is causing it, or when you were a kid you were affected this way and therefore blah blah blah. And I use a very different standard. I use the standard of free will, free choice. My approach to all things in life is that I have and you have free will right now, right here. So anything that may have happened in the past doesn't really make any difference, because here I am today. Here I am at this moment. And using my free will, I can proceed in any way I want. I could listen to old memory tapes. I could bounce off of things that happened to me in the past. And if you listen to my videos, you'll see it's very positive. So it's a good idea to subscribe to these videos. And talking about if your husband is a nitpicker and it's driving you crazy, he isn't going to change. Don't try to get him to change. It's one of those, what's impossible? Well, it's impossible for a rock to stand up and fly, right? It's also impossible to force someone to change. Now, you can get them to change their behaviors at the point of a gun, you might say, by putting a lot of pressure on them. Obviously, you're not going to do that with your husband. And you can get them to change by tantalizing them and saying, if you da 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 da, I will blah blah blah. But those changes are never permanent, because we behave according to all of our habits. How we typically respond to something is all habitual. So we can change ourselves, and in the courses that we have, the Marriage Foundation puts out courses for men and for women. The very first thing is basically, how do you change yourself? How do you control your mind? But it's a process. And you want to obviously prioritize the things you want to change in yourself. Your husband being a nitpicker isn't about to say, you know, I'm a nitpicker, I need to change this, because he doesn't care, right? So what do? You change how you perceive it. And there's different ways of doing that. You can start giving him only half your attention. Oh, this is very important. You do not have to react to every single thing that happens. So his nitpicking is only driving you crazy because, and I threw that in, I don't know that it's driving you crazy, because you're giving it the energy. But if you watch it the way you would observe anything, without judgment, but you're watching, it won't bother you. It'll stop bothering you. You could even tell your mind, I'm going to start seeing his nitpicking as cute. But you know why that hasn't happened so far? Because this works. But the reason why it hasn't worked for you is because you haven't tried it. And the reason why you haven't tried it is because our minds are set up to react. I got to react. Right now, I got to react. And it's just not true. His nitpicking is his nitpicking. Look, I've worked with people a long time. I have sat there when people lose it and they're this far from my face and they're screaming at me. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. Truly, it doesn't bother me. I'm just waiting because I know how the mind works. Again, you can learn that by getting one of my books or by taking the course for women. But I know how the mind works. I know, one, if someone's doing that, chances of that escalating into physical is like totally remote. And two, I also know that emotions are a part of how the mind mechanics work. And when someone gets caught by their emotions, emotions cannot last. They wear out. And then the person comes back to quasi-normal or normal. So the nitpicking, that's just an extreme example. But the point is, it's up to you to quasi or totally ignore the nitpicking. Try to understand what it is that they're trying to communicate with you, because that's what they're doing, and try and deal with them on that level, but more so, love them. Love your husband. Ignore the garbage that goes on the mundane level and just love him. By doing that, you're going to completely shift his focus. So while he's nitpicking and you're going, wow, honey, I really love you, but you have to be sincere. You can't use my stuff to play games. I'm not about manipulating people. I don't want you to manipulate your husband. But during that time, lift yourself up to the love. Honey, I really love you. And it'll change everything. Change him, it'll change you. So you could leave a comment if you'd like, a question. You could also like this video. I like when people like the video. Definitely subscribe to the video, and by all means, join me again. And I appreciate you coming to hear this, because I know it's going to benefit you. So God bless and take care. Thank you.